Hi, I'm Dave from BoyinABand.com, and welcome to the final day of my 7-day song tutorial on trance music. Yesterday, I taught you how to arrange the song from all the pieces we've made throughout this tutorial. Today, I'll explain mixing and mastering for trance music, then I'll play the full finished version of the song for you to listen to. A quick note, don't post your video responses to this video, post them as a video response to part 2. I've separated the mixing and mastering and the playthrough of the song into 2 separate videos this time, so you don't have to watch through the whole segment on mixing and mastering if you just want to hear the song. Okay, let's begin. Some of what I'm about to say I've mentioned on previous 7-day songs, so for those of you that have already heard it, this can be a bit of revision for you. I find the best way to mix is to introduce elements one at a time. So for example, I'll start with just the beat, then bring in the bass, make sure that's the right level, and then I'll go through the leads and the pads and so on and so forth. What I aim for is for the master level not to go into the red. When mixing, it's generally best to cut volumes rather than boost them. Also, make sure you're mixing without the mastering suite on, so just turn it to bypass mode. You should make your song sound awesome without mastering, then when you add it, it will sound even better. You might feel by taking volumes down that you're reducing the power of the track. If this is the case, turn up the volume on your speakers so you can still feel the power, rather than turning up the volume on your drum beat. Make sure you listen to the track at several different volumes on several different speaker systems. At some point, it's probably a good idea to take a trance song onto the biggest speaker system you can find to test it out. If you intend it to be played in a club, it's going to be useful to know what it sounds like in a big system so you can adjust frequencies accordingly. A system with what is called a flat response, where no frequencies have any more prominence than usual, is best for mixing. Obviously, not everyone has access to this, so the next best thing is to listen to the song on as many systems as possible and see what needs changing on each one. So, a few rules of thumb. The kick drum should always be the loudest. This is the pulse of the track and needs to be prominent. As a result of this being loudest, when it cuts out, it's sometimes easy to lose power in the song. To compensate this, I've increased the volume of the pad that's the focal point in the break, just so that it fills out the song a bit more at that point. To do that on Reason, I've just right-clicked on the gated pads channel in the mixer and clicked Edit Automation, then just use an envelope to bring it up for that little section when it kicks in, so. Then it cuts back to the normal volume when everything starts to build up a bit more. In the second break, I've taken it up for both the pad and the plucked lead, since I wanted that lead to pierce through at that point as well. I've also got a reverb unit and delay unit here. The reverb unit is set up with a low high-frequency dampening and a high EQ boost, just so it emphasizes the high end nicely, making for a sweet, airy reverb. And you apply this with the auxiliary knobs here. I've applied this to most of the synths, but not to the drums or bass. These should be kept dry so the low end doesn't get muddy in the mix. The delay I've added to some of the synths I felt needed a bit more presence, such as those leads there, and also a bit on the effects. Once I've mixed the track, then Reason has the M-Class mastering suite, which is really handy for just bringing the track up to that professional level. So, let's take a listen to the chorus without the mastering suite, and then with it. See, it definitely lifts it. I've used this dance preset since it fits the genre nicely. Let's take a look at what it's doing. The compressor is pushing everything that's above -30 decibels down to that level by a ratio of 2:1. Quite a low ratio, but with a low threshold, it's still squashing it a fair amount. The output gain is up as well to compensate for this, and the attack is right up so it can still hit hard on that first kick. The EQ is gently boosting around the 65 Hz mark, just so that kick drum has a bit more punch to it in the low end, and it's also cutting around the 3 kHz mark, just to remove a small amount of the point where the click of the kick is generally found. But the maximizer is doing the most here, though. It's brick wall limiting it with the 4 milliseconds look ahead, and then the input gain is turned up considerably to make the track as loud as possible. Alrighty, let's move on to part 2, where you can hear the final finished 7-day trance song. Feel free to post your song as a video response to it.